Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to spend about half an hour to go through a rather large topic about how do you do the goal setting, objectives for the company, key results tracking for your employees, and how do I use this goal-based approach even to do the performance management for my employees. We're going to make this video in 4 parts where we'll spend the first part talking about how the goal setting in the organization is supposed to be done. What are those large objectives that you should go after? How to break down those objectives into key results and KPIs for your team to track. In the second part, we will talk about once you've assigned the goals and objectives or key results to your teammates, how they can go through the system and keep updating that results so that at a team level or a management level, you're always on top of how much you have progressed on those objectives that you're going after. And in the third and the fourth part, we will talk about using these goals, how you should do the performance management for your employees, talking about how Asanify can create a performance management system for you. And in the last part, we will look at how those performance management cycles are actually executed. Yeah. So we'll start this part talking about how the goals setting should be done. What is the OKR based goal approach that most companies these days are looking at for their companies? Yeah. So if you can see my screen right now, there is a section in Asanify called performance and OKR. What you need to do as a first step, and this is not an activity that you immediately need to jump onto your HR management platform and start setting the goals. There has to be a lot of pre-work that should be done before you start configuring it on the system. Now, what are those objectives? Typically, in any company, at a team level, department level, organization level, there'll be multiple goals that people are going after. It's important to prune it down to what are those large objectives that you want to track at a company level or at a department level. The best practice is to have 3 to 5 goals that a department or a company is going after. And within those objectives, there should be about 4 to 5 key results, which will tell you how you are progressing on those objectives. So let's take an example and see what I'm actually trying to say. Let's say I will now create a goal and we will go through the steps over the next few minutes. Let's say the objective for me right now is increase revenue by 50%. That's the large objective that I'm going after, that I need to drive my revenue up by 60%. I can define this goal by describing any optional notes that I have, and I'll define the time period for this. So let's say this goal starts on 1st of January, and the completion date for this goal is, let's say, 30th of June of 2023. Now, once I've decided the timelines, it's important because the goals that I'm defining in a particular time period can also be incorporated in the performance management that falls in that same time period. And we'll talk about in the third part when we are talking about performance management system. In my company, I can define who's the owner of the goal. So let's say in this case, I'm the owner of the goal as the admin. I can define what type of goal it is. So let's say it's a team goal for me right now that I'm setting. And also, there are multiple types of goals. So not every goal needs to be visible to everyone. In Asanify, you can control who is seeing that goal. And usually, it's a good idea to have the goal visibility given to the teams which are actually holding the key results for that goal. But also at a management level, you want to control that, my line manager or the function head or the CEO of the company, what are the goals that they have a visibility towards? So for every goal, I can control who all are the people who can see it. It can either be everyone in the company or at a team level, which basically means me and all the people who are reporting to me or their direct reports. Or I can control the visibility to me and people above me in the hierarchy. It could be a goal that I set only for myself, and I don't want the visibility to be toward to anyone else in the company. It could be the department level goal where people who are only the sales and marketing team tagged as a department, only they can see the goals, or my immediate direct reports, not the next level and the next level below that. This is something that is flexible, and while setting up the goal, you must keep this in mind. So for the ease of showing you the demonstration, let me just show you as a goal which is visible to everyone right now in the company. And I'll move on to the summary of this goal. Now, increase revenue by 50%, that's fine. The goal time period is being set up. Now, as you would see that increasing revenue by 50% is a large objective. There are many things that have to fall in place for the revenue to go up by 50%. And that is where I need to add those key results. I'll repeat that again, that there has to be a lot of pre-work that should be done at a company or a team level before you go into configuring these goals and key results, because it's very easy to get into the micro level that I need to do these 10 things over the next 1 week for me to achieve this goal, or this is my KPI. Now that is extremely micro level. It's important to set large objectives and large key results which will tell you at a overall team level or a company level whether you're progressing or not. Obviously, increasing revenue by 50% will need hiring requirements, it will need customer service requirement, it will have retention of customer requirement, it will probably have new location launches as a requirement, but everything can't be a key result. There has to be an adequate brainstorming done in the team to come up with those 4 5 key results which will tell you at a high level whether you are approaching the goal in the right manner or is there some corrective action that you need to take. Yeah. So let's go about adding some of these key results. If I have to increase revenue by 50%, let's say one of the key results that I am going after is launch my product in new locations. This could be one key result. I can define in my team or at a company level who is the owner of that goal. So let's say Usha in the team is the owner of this particular key result. I can define what kind of key result is it. Is it a yes or a no goal? Now, sometimes it could be that, let's say I need to have a new product launch done. Now, it's a yes or a no question whether the product is launched or not launched. Or in this case, like I have to say, launch my product in new locations. It could be a number goal that right now I'm at 5 locations and I need to become 20 locations by the time it is June of 2023. So let's say I'll add this as a key result and I'll add a few more for us to understand what exactly the system is enabling us to do. So let's say the second key result could be improve my customer retention. Now, as you would notice that these are some large key results. There'll be many other micro factors that will affect key results and that we can take up as KPIs. But the key result at a larger goal level needs to be at a certain high level. So let's say I am the key result owner for this. Again, it's a number goal. My customer retention right now is at 55%. I need to make it, let's say, 70%. And I can add this as a key result. Now, for me to grow my revenues by 50%, there could be other key results as well. And I'll add one more: launch new product variants. Let's say this is my goal. Now, again, this could be a continuum that, if I have to launch 20 new variants, which one is at what stage? They can be key result owners who are different for different such key results. I'm just defining it right now that right now I'm at 2 product variants and I want to become 6 product variants by the time it is June of 2023. For the ease of understanding right now, I'm going to stick to 3, but usually 4, 5, or in some of the cases, even 6 key results are there for a larger objective. It's important for you to spend enough time in rationalizing how many key results are you going after. It's very easy to come up with 25 key results because the goals are very large. And it will take that internal team discussions to keep crunching that into 5 or 6 really important parameters that you want to track on an ongoing basis. Yeah. Now that I've defined the goal and these key results, I will also know that not every key result is going to contribute equally to my achievement of the goal. Now, some key result may have a higher weightage, some may have a lower weightage, etc. By default, the system would have given equal weightage to all the key results in the absence of knowing what the weightages you want. So let's say in this case, I am going to say that my goals have a different weightage for each key result, and I can update those weightages here. So let's say now that I see that update goal results, I can update the weightages for each of them. By default, everything has been put equally. launching new product variants, maybe 20% contributing to my goal. Improving my customer retention may have a 30% contribution to my overall objective, and launching my product in new locations may have a 50% weightage. I'm taking it as an example. You guys need to do this internal discussion before you set this goal at a company level or at the team level. Yeah. Now you see that my goal setting for this particular activity is done. For any team or a company, there are going to be 4 or 5 such large goals that you're going after, and each goal will have 5 or 6 key results. Yeah. I hope this part is clear, because this is the first step which gets into the execution and tracking of your goals. And I'll repeat that again. This stage comes after adequate internal discussion at a team level, that what are those objectives and what are those key results that we'll go after. Yeah. Once you've configured it on the system and assigned it to the respective owners, these people will start seeing those objectives and key results when they log into Asanify. So right now I'm logged in as an admin who has set these goals, or the team manager who has set these goals. I will now log in as an employee who has been assigned these key results, and I will see what their screen looks like. Yeah. So let's say now I am logged in as an employee, as you can see on my screen. If I go to the performance and OKR for my login ID, I will see that there may be some goals which have been created, which are affecting the kind of work that I need to deliver for achieving these goals. So this is the goal that has been created. If I click on this right now, I see that the percentage achievement is 0. I'm logged in as Usha Martin right now. So you'll see against Usha Martin, there are 2 key results which I am the owner for. So it is an update status also which is enabled for these key results. Again, let's pause at this point and understand how OKRs work. Compared to the traditional approach where you come back after 6 months or 1 year to see whether the goal was achieved or not, OKR is a process of continuous improvement. The new age companies, and rightly so, believe that every day or every week there is action happening. The world is so dynamic. It's very important to keep updating the key results as frequently as you can. It could be even a daily updation, definitely a weekly updation for sure. So when you keep updating it and keep describing what went right or what went wrong in your weekly or fortnightly review meetings, you'll be able to take those conscious calls on what is working well and you need to dial that up, or what may not be working so well and you need to take some corrective actions. Yeah. So let's say launching new product variants is one of my key results, and I'm sitting after 1 week and trying to do the updation of my key results. My target is to move from 2 to 6. I am saying that, okay, fine, it's a 6-month goal. I may have launched 1 new variant in this week, let's say hypothetically. I'll say that this is on track. Created product version XYZ, achieved a customer satisfaction score of 8 on 10. I'm just putting some hypothetical number, which will also tell you that how this product variant is working as a comment on this new product variant that has been launched. Now you see that if my target is to move from 2 to 6 and I have gone up by 1, that means that I have achieved 25% of the overall journey that I need to cover. Yeah. And overall at a goal level, it is showing a 5% improvement, because the weightage of this goal is not equal. So while 25% of this key result has been achieved, my overall achievement of the goal is still 5%. Yeah. Similarly, let me update another one. Let's say, I want to say that I want to launch product in my new locations, 5 to 20. After a month, I have said that, okay, now I've launched 3 more locations. I'm on track. Successfully started ops in whatever, let's say Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. Yeah. Okay, so now you'll see that, okay, if my target is to reach from X to Y, 20% of this key result has been achieved. And since the weightage for this particular key result is higher, now my goal overall achievement has jumped up. Yeah. Now, let's say after another week, I'm updating the status again that, okay, I had launched a new product variant. I may have encountered some problem, blah, blah, blah. Let's say I'm going to roll back that product variant that I had launched. So in my attempt to move from 2 to 6, I had moved to 3, but now I want to roll it back. I am off track. Product improvement required pilot was not so successful. And obviously, I need to define it more depending upon internally how your goals and key results are. Let me just update this for now so that the timeline keeps getting created. So you see now this has gone back to 0 because my product variant I've rolled back. And in the timelines that is getting published down here, will keep showing you how you are moving on that goal. So I know that on a certain date, I had launched a new variant. Okay, I launched some new locations. On a certain date, I had to roll it back. And this becomes a very potent way to conduct your internal reviews, which I would recommend should definitely be fortnightly, if not a weekly review, to keep track of these larger objectives. And there'll be those internal reviews at a smaller level. So at a CEO and the larger management team level, there'll be a separate OKRs that you're going after. At an individual department level, there can be those OKRs which only your team is responsible for, and the review of that is done at a smaller level. Yeah. I hope this part is clear to everyone. This way, you can create multiple goals and OKRs. So I'll just log out as an employee and go back into the admin or the manager login to see how these updates are looking to me as a goal owner that we had defined. Yeah. So if I go to the goals and OKR section, amongst all the goals that I have the visibility towards, I will know at any point in time that, okay, increasing revenue by 50%, this was my larger goal. How am I doing against it? Okay, I'm doing all right on new location launches, but I definitely need to pull up on the new product variants and customer retention. And this timeline will show you the milestones that you have achieved or the corrective actions that you need to take so far. Yeah. I hope this part is clear to you. And the second part is the KPI tracking. Like I had mentioned in the beginning, there are sometimes those micro parameters that you also need to define. So let's say while my customer retention is a large objective, but I need to have a KPI, or let's say, launching product variants is a larger goal. Launching a new variant will have multiple performance indicators. Let's say there are 20 steps to be taken in the product testing before the variant gets launched. So that becomes a smaller KPI. How many variants have been tested for this new product launch? How many modules have been tested, let's say? That becomes a KPI. So if you see in the KPI section, as a goal owner, I can also define the KPI and I can assign those KPIs like I had done those key results. Please note that this is at a level which is 1 or 2 levels below objectives and key results. This was a more micromanagement of, okay, if my new product launch has not working, what are the performance indicators that I need to look at? So let's say product module tested is one such KPI. I can define Usha as the owner of this particular KPI. I can define whether there's any unit or in this case, there is no unit, let's say. I can create this KPI and I've assigned it to Usha in my team. So when Usha logs into the system from her ID, she'll be able to keep track of these KPIs and keep updating it on a weekly basis for you to keep track of if this particular key result is not working, where is the gap that might be happening. Yeah. In my case, right now, the KPI I have assigned to the employee. So let me just quickly log in as the employee and have a look at how those KPIs can be updated. Yeah. So I'll go again to my KPI section within performance and OKR. And I will see that the product module tested that I have created is now appearing as one of the KPIs that I'm the owner for. So let's say in this week, I have tested 2 modules. I can insert a comment that, module XYZ tested successfully. Let me say that bug fixing needed in module, whatever, ABC. So this becomes your micro level tracking of how you are doing on those KPIs, or how you're doing on those key results through this KPI tracker. So let's just take a step back. As a team or at a company level, you define those objectives. You define 4 or 5 key results, or maybe 6 key results, which will tell you whether you're progressing well on those objectives or not. And to track those key results, you can also define some of the KPIs, which will tell you that if the key result has been achieved only 20% or 40%, which may be good, bad, ugly, what are those performance indicators that are telling you that you're doing it, which part of those key results you're doing it well, or which part needs improvement. Yeah. In the next section, we'll talk about how these goals and OKRs, which are being tracked over a period of 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months, can also be used in the performance assessment that you might be doing for your teams. Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. So in the first part, we have seen how the goal setting and the key results definition, or the KPI tracking, is done for those individual goals or the team level goals that your team might be doing. In this part, we will look at creating the performance review cycle, how you're supposed to do it using Asanify. And then we'll look at how your individual employees can actually go through those review cycles and input their feedback that for the achievements that they have during that period, or how they are rating themselves and how the managers are rating them for that period. Yeah. So let's get into the performance and OKR section once again. The first thing for you to look at is there is something called question bank in this section. There are about 170 odd questions that we have loaded in this section already. If you want to look at all the questions, you can run through the long scroll. Or if I want to see that, what are the questions that talk about the culture fitment that the employee has in the company, you can go through the questions which talk about culture. If I want to see what is the team spirit that the employee shows, and I want to see the questions around the team spirit that the employee is showing, what are the questions available here, I can go through those questions here in this section. My suggestion would be to run through the question bank, because we believe that most of what you need might be covered here already. If not, you can very easily add your own questions also. So let's say in my performance review, I want to ask a question that, what has been the speed of adoption to new initiatives? So let's say this is one of the questions that I want to ask. It may be a short text question. It could be a rating question. Let's say it's a rating question where I want a 5-point scale, or maybe let's say I want just a 3-point scale where 1 is needs improvement. Second is, let's say, doing all right. Obviously, you can word it how you want it. And third is great. And I can also define whether, apart from rating, will the person be allowed to add some comment on this review or not? Because while the number will tell you one part of the story, it is the comment which will describe why the rating is 2 or 3 or whatever it might be. And I can also define whether it's a mandatory question or not. And I can add questions in this question bank. Yeah. So let's say I've created this one question. If I search for the question on adoption, I can see that, okay, this is what I have defined right now. And the questions that I need for my performance assessment will all be there now in the question bank. The second step that you need to do after you are clear that all the questions that you want the assessment to be done on is present with you, you can collate those questions and create those feedback forms. Now, in any review cycle, there are multiple stages of assessment that might happen. Now, an individual employee might do a self-review, then a manager will do a review for their teammates. You could also have a peer review system in your company, or you might even have a 360-degree feedback where, as an employee, I'll be reviewing my manager. Now, once you define that what are those review processes that you're going to follow, you also need to define what would be the forms that you'll be used for that assessment. Now, forms is nothing but the collation of these questions that you have already put in the question bank. So there are some feedback forms that we have already added, which might be useful for you. like a general review form, which is applicable for a direct report review or for peer review. There is some performance conversation. You can create your own feedback form as well. So let's say I'm creating a ABC feedback form, and I can add the questions from my question bank, that I want this question, I want this question, I want this question, or whichever way it might be. I can choose to arrange the sequencing of that question also, that, okay, this should be number one, this should be number two, this should be number three. And with that way, I can create those feedback forms, which I'm going to use going forward in my review cycles. Yeah. So before you start doing your performance review, it's important to first look at the question bank, add some questions if you need to add for how your employees will be either assessing themselves or will get assessed by the reporting managers, and then prepare a collation of those questions into a feedback form. And you can have multiple feedback forms, so that you can have a certain set of questions for self review, a different set of questions for when the manager is reviewing the employee, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Once you've done with these two things, we'll create a review cycle. So let's say we'll create a review cycle right now. So let's say this is a 2023 half yearly review cycle. So I'll just call it H1 review. I can define if there's any description to be given. Okay, it's a half yearly review. It will be done one. And what is the review period? It will be, let's say, 1st January to 30th June. Now, I'm keeping the dates consistent. If you notice, the goal and OKR that we had set in the previous section was also falling in that same time period, so that I can demonstrate to you how the goal-based assessment can also be done. Yeah, once I've created the review cycle, I need to now select who will be reviewing who and what form will they be using for that. Yeah, so the first question is, will the employees be doing the self review? Will the reviewees review themselves? So you can define, if there's no self review that you follow, then you can just put it off. Or if there is a self review, you can say yes, and you can choose which of those forms that you have created will be used for this. Yeah. Now, the next part on this is important, that should the reviewees review their own goals? Now, Asanify's goals and OKRs tie in seamlessly with the performance management system. So whenever the employee is filling that form, they will have a real-time view on, okay, if this was my goals and OKRs, or the key results that I was going after, where do I stand vis-a-vis the target that was set? Yeah, and I'll show you how that works. So right now, I'll just say that, yes, the goals will also be reviewed. Will the manager review their direct reports? Yes, I can choose whichever form I want, that this will be the form that the managers will use. And then the managers will also be reviewing them on the goals. For the demonstration purpose, I'm not putting the 360-degree feedback where the employee also reviews the manager, or the peer review right now. Yeah. Now, in the third step, since I've said that the goals will also be reviewed, so for every goal that has been defined for that employee in that time period, there'll be an individual question asked, that to what extent was this goal achieved by this person. Yeah. And then I can simply just add the employees who are now eligible for this review cycle. It is possible that sometimes there is a new joinee who has come into the company only, let's say, a week before your performance assessment period has started. So those people will obviously not be eligible for it. So you can choose who are the ones who are eligible, and then you can create the review cycle, and I'll show you how that is done. Now, when I say preview specific reviewers, now the system basis the line manager mapping that you have done on Asanify has already identified that if I have said self-review as yes and the manager's review as yes, that means Usha Martin, who's an employee, will first be reviewing herself. Then Usha Martin will be reviewed by Gaurav, who's the manager of Usha. And similarly, all those combinations in my company will automatically get created. I can simply just go and confirm the reviewers. Yeah. As a summary page, now I know that, okay, my review cycle is created, what forms are getting used, what are the reviewer-reviewee pairs that I've created, and I can simply go and create this review cycle. Now, my review cycle for this period has been created already, right? Now, for this, if you notice as an admin at the bottom of the screen, you can edit at what stage is your review cycle right now. So let's say I want to right now send an announcement to all my employees saying that, hi folks, the review cycle for H1 2023 is now open. Please log in to Asanify and finish your self-review. Yeah. The deadline is whatever, let's say, I will say July 10th. Since the period is till June, I'm just mentioning the deadline as July 10th. I have made this announcement to all the employees of my company. Once I've done this, I will also make the self-review as in progress. What was in the not started stage, I have now made it in progress. So when my employees log in, they will be able to conduct their self-review. Yeah. So let's take a step back and summarize what we have gone through. We have looked at the performance management period on what is the time period that we are looking for assessment. We have looked at all the questions to see whether the parameters on which I want to assess my employees are present or not. If I need to add those some more questions, I can easily do that. I can define whether it is a description question or a rating question, and I can create those feedback forms, which is a collation of some or all of those questions that I have put together. I can have different feedback forms for self-review or manager review. And then I create a review cycle where the system identifies what are the different combinations of reviewer and reviewee. And the moment I change the stage of that performance cycle from not started to in progress, when those employees log in, they'll be able to see their individual review section. Yeah. In the last part, now we'll cover how the performance assessment is done and what is the view that the employee gets when they log into Asanify. Okay, so now that I've created the review cycle and I have put the review stage as in progress, also send the announcement to my employees, let's have a look at what does the employee see when they log in and how do they go through this process of performance review. So I log in as the employee right now for who the review cycle has been activated. When the employee logs in and goes to the overview of the performance review, they will see all the reviews that have been done so far. And the one that we have created just now, 2023 H1 review, is now showing as a start review for the self-assessment of the employee. So what the employee needs to do quite simply is click on start review. All the questions that you've put together for that particular feedback form that will be used will start appearing. So let's say I'll just finish my self-review here very quickly. Let's say I've done this. I can always save and fill it later if I need to come back to it, or I can just finish in one go, whichever way you want. Let me just quickly finish this. You will see that the status bar keeps showing you out of all the questions that are there, what fraction of that you've completed already. So you have a sense of, how much time you're going to take in your self-assessment. Let's just move forward. Okay, few more questions to go. Okay, so this is where I have submitted all the questions that I want. And this is something that once I'm satisfied with whatever I have written, I can just simply submit this form. Yeah. Once the review has been submitted, you see that now the employee can go back and view this and download whatever they have entered as a PDF, or they are happy with whatever they have done, and they will see this particular self-assessment of this review cycle as completed now. Yeah. For any employee, when they log into the system, there are two sections: as a reviewer, what is pending with them to be done, and as a reviewee. So right now, this employee Usha Martin was doing a self-assessment, so it'll appear as a reviewer because she's reviewing herself. Yeah. So this particular thing is done. I will quickly log into the manager's ID now, and you will see how it will start appearing in the manager's login ID as well, that the employee has now completed the self-assessment. So if I go to performance and OKR as a reviewer, I will be able to see that, okay, 2023 H1 review, Usha Martin direct report, I haven't started yet as a reviewer. And if I have to start that, I will just come to that in a second. So since as an admin, I also happened, as a manager, I also happen to be the admin. For the manager review to start, I need to go back to the review cycle. And I will say that, okay, now the self-review stage is completed. So no more changes can be done in this. And the reviewer's review is now in progress. And I will update the status. Like the previous time, I can also send an announcement that now the manager review time period has started, and over the next 1 week, I request you to finish all of that. And the managers will need to complete the performance assessment of their direct reports. Yeah. Now you see, now that the manager review has been activated, now Usha Martin, who was my direct report, I can now start reviewing Usha's performance review for this cycle. So let me do this right now. Let's say, whatever questions I had defined for this will start appearing here. Let me quickly run through this. Okay. There you go. I can now review whatever I have entered. And if I find it satisfactory, I can simply submit this. So now the review cycle for Usha Martin as a direct report has also been completed. It will start appearing as a reviewer. I've completed that section as well. Yeah. So what we have seen right now is how the review cycle can be defined into as a self-review cycle or as a manager review cycle. You can activate it in different stages and finish those review cycles. So as an admin, once I'm done with the manager review, I can mark that particular stage also as completed. And I can then say that the review packets can now be sent to the reviewees. Yeah. In the last part, we'll summarize this entire thing for you to get a sense of how overall goal setting and performance management can be done quite easily using Asanify. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so in this last section, we'll quickly look at how now the cycle has been completed. So as a manager, if I go to the overview section, I'll be able to see that as a reviewer, I have completed the review for Usha Martin for this particular review cycle. I can view and download the stages, download the feedback form that has been filled up as well. Since I also happen to be the admin as a review cycle for 2023 H1 review, I will now mark all the other stages as completed. And I will now say that the review packets have been sent to the reviewees. What does this mean? When I log out and I log in as an employee, the employee will now be able to see what the self-review and what the manager's review has been. This is where your performance management cycle gets over, and then those documents can be used for the overall assessment and whatever next steps that have to be done at an organization level in terms of promotion recommendations or salary increments can start coming in. Yeah. So as an employee, when I go to the performance and OKR section and I look at the overview, I will see that, okay, 2023 H1 review, my manager has completed my review, and I can download the PDF here for what the assessment has been by my manager. Yeah. So let's take a step back and quickly summarize what this entire review cycle and goal setting is all about, where you define the goals and objectives at a company level, you define the key results, you assign those goals and the key results to the respective owners. If you want to go down micro into tracking those KPIs, which go one step below the key results, you can define that and then create a review cycle and create those questions and the feedback forms that you'll be using. I hope you find Asanify useful in doing the performance management review for your respective companies. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to your feedback. Thanks.